Okay, hey folks, Mark Locklear here, and just a quick welcome video to give you the lay of the land for DBA 120 and MySQL. Many of you have probably had me as an instructor previous to this. I know a few of you were in my Java class this past fall, and maybe you've had me in previous. It would have had to have been um, either C++ or Java. So anyway, I'll be your instructor. Quick background for me. Again, my name is Mark Locklear. I've been teaching at AV Tech for almost going on a decade now. Maybe it could be 10 years this year. For my day job, I work for extension.org. We're a nonprofit that serves a cooperative extension service. I'm primarily doing more project management stuff these days, but still like to get my hands dirty with code. Um, Originally sort of started out as a web developer using Ruby on Rails. Prior to that, I worked in quality assurance, and then got started way back in the late 90s doing network administration, that kind of work. So yeah, that's a little about me. I'm going to share my screen and we will look at Moodle. Okay. So we've got two sections. So there's two sections of MySQL this spring. The majority of folks are in the online sections, only about 8, 9, 10 folks that are in the seated section. For the online folks, you're welcome to join anytime you want to come and sit in. It's Monday mornings, 9 or 9:30. I'll have to check the exact time. Till 11 o'clock or so. So feel free to come in and sit on those lectures anytime you want. The content is exactly the same the way I build my classes, whether it's seated or online. Is you've got, and I'll walk through this more in detail, but we've got weekly screencasts, and then you've got coding assignments each week. So the only thing that you'll get in the seated class is just sort of a more you'll get an actual live lecture. I'll generally do an hour or so lecture that's going to be equivalent. Should, generally it's the same content that's in the screencast, but I'll probably add, obviously, if it's live, I'm going to add some different things to it. And then we'll either use the rest of the class time for lab time for you to work on assignments, and I can answer questions you've got, and or sometimes I'll throw in some just sort of fun assignments, you know, ad hoc exercises we'll do in class. They're not for credit, so online folks, you're not missing any of that. And I tell this for the seated folks too. I don't have an attendance policy for my seated classes. So if you want to work 100% online, even though you're in the seated version of the class, you can do that too. So my philosophy is very much one of I'm here to facilitate, not, facilitate information for you, and I want you to learn, but everybody sort of learns at their own pace, and this is a journey for you. Many of you will go on to not work specifically in tech. You may go do other things. Hopefully, you'll take the information and the knowledge you're learning and apply it to whatever job you're in. But I'm sort of here to facilitate, the information that we've got here, and however whatever method you want to use to learn that, whether it's sort of fully in an asynchronous environment using screencasts and things like that, or if you want to take advantage to face, then that's both of those are viable options for learning the information. So we're going to look at the Moodle shell again. This is going to be the same for both of them. So we're just going to look at the online shell. Um, so we cover basically a chapter per week. And again, if you've been in any of my previous classes, the same. I run those the almost exact same way. Generally, there's one exception here for chapter 10, but it's going to be a chapter a week. So for week one, we're going to dive right in. Your week one, what you need to get done is we have a getting started assignment, which would be a short one just to just to sort of make sure you're a real human being and that you've logged into the Moodle shell. But you've got that. And then for chapter 1, I'll walk you through. I'm going to have a separate screencast that's going to walk you through what we do for chapter 1. So then it's basically just logging into the MySQL instance we have and changing your password for your username. But so generally a chapter a week. So each week we'll have a coding exercise and a quiz. The quizzes are from the question bank that comes with the Mirac book. So in fact, let me talk about the book real quick. So we'll use the Mirac MySQL book, 4th edition. Notice I've got the digital version here. I really like it a lot. A few years ago, I stopped using the physical books and went 100% to using the digital version of the book. I don't think it's included. You'll have to do your own research and see, because I'm a little confused about it. I think it does not included just if you buy the book. So I think it's a separate purchase. And I don't know if you can, I think somebody bought the book and said if you buy the book, then it's the extra $10 maybe to get the online version, or maybe you can just buy the online version of it. If you notice the URL here, VitalSource is the company that does these. So I don't, you'll have to do your own research there, because I don't know exactly, because I'm an instructor. I get the access I get. I don't have to pay for it. So I don't know exactly what it looks like from a student's standpoint. But anyway, I would encourage you. I mean, if you like that, some people, and I actually do, depending on what I'm doing, I like to have the physical copy in my hand too. You can make notes and do other things, but it's pretty robust. I mean, you can, you can highlight things and make notes. The search functionality is nice. You can actually search inside here. So there are certainly advantages to having. I mean, the other thing I like is that I'm on the road sometimes, and I work at home, and I'm at AB Tech sometimes, and then I may be other places. So super convenient for me not to have to lug the book around everywhere I go, and I've got it all on my computer. So okay, so back to the Moodle shell. Each week, a chapter, again, a chapter per week, and then coding exercise and quiz each week. Coding exercises are due every Friday at 12 p.m. I'll say that again. Coding exercises are due every Friday at lunchtime, 12 p.m. The exercise will close at 12 p.m. So if you don't get it submitted by then you're out of luck. Generally, my policy is that I don't accept late work. That being said, I know life happens, so email me prior to the assignment, and just let me know what's going on, and I'll usually make an exception, but my recommendation is to get the work in on time. Again, there's a coding assignment due each week, so if you get behind, it's just going to make things that much harder. So, as much as you can, try and stay on track. The quizzes are 100% open right up until the last week of class, and there's no due dates for those. So just do those at your own convenience. Now, my recommendation would be that this is obvious and it makes sense, but you should do the assignments or you should do the quizzes, the week that we cover that particular chapter, right? The information's fresh in your mind, and it just makes more sense to do it that way. So that would be my recommendation. So again, a chapter a week we have, and then the final project, I'll say a few words about that. Final project is sort of a culmination of everything we've worked on, in the class. And basically it's going to be we'll look at the document real quick here. Basically, it is you're going to be building a database from scratch, right? In this case, it's going to be the Elegant. I'm asking you to create there's a wedding planning agency called Elegant Occasions. They specialize in organizing and coordinating weddings for clients, and you're going to be asked to create a database for them. So you'll be doing things like creating an entity relationship diagram. You're going to create business rules. You're going to actually write the SQL code that's going to set the database up. But this is sort of, again, and then the idea here is, I'm sort of creating a globe with my hand. This should be a sort of complete project where by the time, you give it to me, it's not only is it the technical work that's been done, but there's quite a bit of writing you're going to do with this too. Things like the business rules, the business requirements, the technical explanation. You're not just writing the code for the database, but there's a technical explanation that sort of goes along with this too. So you're really wearing a bunch of hats here. Part of the challenge, or what I'm asking you to do with this final project, is not just to wear the technical hat of writing SQL code and creating the database, but also sort of a project manager or product manager hat of explaining sort of in real terms um, what the database does and who it serves. So, sort of think of it like, hey, if your grandma, if she was reading this document, there would be parts of it that she'd be able to understand, right? It's sort of real world, in sort of layperson's terms, if you will, what the database does. And the idea there is that, on a larger project like this, often you've got technical stakeholders, which are the sort of technical people who are going to be, whether they're database administrators, software engineers, those folks that are going to be reading this document. But there's also managers and even maybe CEOs or COOs or other people that are going to be reading this document that should be able to understand it too. So again, that this is the final project. It's 16 weeks away, where we're not there yet, but sort of keep that in the back of your mind. That's what we're working toward throughout the semester. So each week I've got a how to be successful in this course video that's in Moodle also, but generally what it is that to be successful in this course, and this is true for all of my classes, is to read the chapter, watch the screencast, and then do the coding exercises. So again, there we cover a chapter per week. So the one exception I mentioned is chapter 10. That's the database design chapter. And students often struggle with that. And it's a little bit, it's a little more of a black art, if you will. It's a little, you have to really think from at an abstract level, and students often struggle with that. And not only that, but Charlie Wallen and Alec and some of the other instructors who manage the capstone project for students. That's one of the things they shared with me, is that students often, one of the things for the capstone project, if you're working on an associate's degree, one of the struggles students often have is they don't do a good job with the database design portion of the capstone project. So they sort of asked me to spend a little more time. So chapter 10 is the database design chapter, and we actually spend 2 weeks on that. And that's one I would encourage. I would say for my online students, I would encourage you to come to the seated class for those those chapters, because it's a good chance for us to sort of talk as a group and sort of talk through what database design means, and really gives you a chance to sort of experiment, ask questions, and it's just helpful to have a chat about it in a group setting. So, but again, chapter per week. Of course, we'll be off the week of spring break, but other than that, chapter per week. Each week you'll have a screencast. You'll have the coding exercises, you'll have the quiz, and then sometimes I may put, I've got some solutions here too. But anyway, quiz. The quizzes are generally 10 questions, I think. Again, those are from the question bank that comes with the Mirac book. Not always the easiest, so don't feel bad about that. I think, the quizzes are only 25% of your grade. So, even if you don't do great, even if you have an average that's closer to a C or even a D, you can easily still get an A or B in the course. So don't be discouraged by those. I think that's all I'll say for now. Again, excited about having everyone here for the class. I love database design. This is the second year that I've taught this class. Just started teaching it last year, so I think it'll run a little smoother this year than it did last year. Database design's fun, and it really, I promise you, if you at the end of this class, you're going to look at the world differently. You're going to look at the world differently than you did when we started the class, because it really does when you start to think about things in an unambiguous way, right? And you'll hear me, or you'll hear me talk about ambiguity in the screencast, and then for the city class, you'll hear me talk about that a lot, because a big part of what database, big part about relational databases is, and the ability to query a database gets into this idea of ambiguous, how ambiguous or unambiguous, as it were, are the questions you're asking the database. And that's really what relational databases are all about. When you're querying or retrieving data from a database, there can really be no ambiguity there, right? And that's true for all programming languages. The other thing we'll see is, again, if you're on the web development track and you're taking, again, whether it's PHP, C++, or Java, really that's what programming languages are all about, there can be no ambiguity in the commands that you give, whether it's an IDE and you're writing pure software code, or whether you're querying a database. So it's fun, and it really does sort of change the way you start to look at the world and think about, whether it's retrieving data or really doing anything at all. So excited to have you in the class, and I'll see you either in class or online.